South Africa's Springboks in their Rugby World Cup match in Bordeaux dominated Romania, scoring 12 tries in a lopsided game that the Springboks won 76-0. Now, Grant Williams scored twice as Cobus, Reinach and Makazole, Mapimpi both scored 3 times as the defending champions warmed up well for their upcoming match against Ireland. They added 9 log points to their first round victory over Scotland 18-3 after scoring a try-scoring a bonus point in this game. Now, meanwhile, Springbok fly half Handre Pollard will join the national team in Paris on Monday after being called into the squad to fill the vacancy created by hooker Malcolm Marx, who was ruled out of the Rugby World Cup in France earlier this week due to a knee injury. The Springboks will make the journey from Bordeaux to Paris on Monday, where they will begin their preparations for Saturday's Round 3 World Cup clash against Ireland. Avogile Sawula, a sports reporter, joins me from Cape Town to shed more light on this.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's get straight to it. How would you assess the Springboks' performance in their recent win against Romania, and what for you are the key takeaways?
No, listen, I think, obviously the Springboks came into the game favorites. I don't think anyone thought that they were going to lose the game against Romania. And, obviously to put on 70 plus points, that was very impressive for them. And I heard you now, before I came on, mentioning that there were hat-tricks for Makazole, Mapimpi, hat-tricks for Cobus, Reinach. That's also impressive. That will build the confidence in those players. So, obviously very impressed with the Boks, but also this coming weekend is the big one, Ireland. I think that Romania game was just, rehearsals for them. It was just sort of a training session. So let's see what happens this week. But overall, very impressed with the performance and the score put up by the Boks.
All right, now the Springboks are now set to face off against Ireland, one of the best teams in international rugby. What are your expectations, and how do you believe they will fare well, given such a very tough opposition?
No, listen, Ireland's the #1 team in the world right now. South Africa's the #2 team in the world right now. So that will be a battle of 1 and 2 in the world. It will also be a battle of the best defense in the World Cup versus the team that has scored the most tries in Ireland. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a match where South Africa will need to play to their structures. They've brought Handre Pollard back, but I highly doubt he's going to play a part in this match. But it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a World Cup thriller before the quarterfinals. So, it's either way. It's going to come down to which team has its best players out on the field, which team executes better on the field, which team takes their chances more on the field. Rugby is never won on paper. It's never won on, press conferences before the match is played. It's won in the 80 minutes that the game is played there. And I think, the Boks will need to pull through. They need to pull themselves up. They have great squad depth. We saw against Romania, they played 4 scrum offs in one game. Not a lot of countries can do that at the World Cup. So the Boks will need to pull themselves through, but also Ireland, they pose a lot of threats. We saw what they did to Romania. They put 80 points on Romania. We saw what they did in their last game against Tonga. They dismantled Tonga to put 50 plus points on them. So it's going to be interesting. 2 of the world's best teams at it. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Now let's talk about Handre Pollard's inclusion into the team. What do you think? What is he bringing in terms of skill set, some level of experience, of course, to complement the existing squad?
Yeah, no, Handre is an experienced player. He won the Rugby World Cup with the Boks in 2019. He featured in the 2015 Rugby World Cup in England. He had also a cameo in the 2011 Rugby World Cup in New Zealand when Morné Steyn was still playing fly-off at that time. So he's a player that has been around. He's seen it all. He's been in different situations. He's won the British and Irish Lions tour with South Africa. He brings, a lot to the team. He brings cover for Malcolm Marx, who has been struggling with the boot. He brings experience. He brings leadership. I think we see that in the Bok team. There are quite a lot of leaders besides Kolisi. We have Dwayne Vermeulen, Morgan Bonambi, and Handre Pollard does exactly that because he is traditionally the vice captain of the Springboks. So he brings a lot of versatility. He can also play at 12. He can also play 10. At times, they can even slot him at 13 if needs be. So, he brings a lot, but most importantly for me, I think he brings in the cover at 10, the kicking cover, to slot in those 3 points. And most importantly, another thing that he brings is the leadership, which I think will be very important if the Boks are to go on and retain the Rugby World Cup in France.
All right, we know that recently the Springboks have recorded some, great deal of success. But what do you anticipate as a challenge for them? And what areas do you think they need to improve to stand a chance in the coming games?
No, I think good question actually. Challenges definitely this coming weekend will be a challenge. The way that Ireland play, in terms of the way South Africa play, two different styles. Ireland are more of playing using their forwards, interlinking with Johnny Sexton, the captain, and using their back line. Where South Africa play more of a bashing type of rugby, where they use their forwards a lot, they use the scrum a lot, they use the rolling ball a lot. So it's going to be interesting. That will be challenging for them, without a doubt. It will be challenging to defend Ireland, Ireland's attack. We saw what Bandiyaki can do when he's firing, when he's at his best. And so, defending Ireland is going to be very difficult for South Africa, but also for Ireland. Defending the big boys from South Africa, the likes of Stephen Kitsoff, Bonambi, Oxenchair, just to name a few, it's also going to be tough. So it's, two teams, as I've said, two of the world's best teams coming at each other at a World Cup Pool B match. And obviously, and I think another challenge for South Africa will be in the quarterfinals, where they will face either France or New Zealand. That will also be a challenge to see if they can go through that hurdle. So this pool is very tough, but also is the pool of France and New Zealand, because two of the top 5 teams basically in the Rugby World Cup standings, in the World Rugby standings, will be eliminated after the quarterfinals.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Avuyile Sabula, sports reporter from Cape Town. Once again, thank you.